Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news is AEW's video game in trouble.
Tessa Blanchard has a brand new controversy.
WWE interested in top Impact star ?
And who was Wardlow's mystery opponent on Dynamite ?
I'm Andy Murray.
I'm Phil.
And this is the news. Higgledy-piggledy, we're all over the place these days.
Things are happening.
Yeah, stuff is occurring. Tomorrow, presenting the news, is The Fiend and a crocodile. Weird. But today we're going to kick things off by talking about AEW's
Goes to Amazon to buy
game.
fiends and crocodile costumes to make you do this.
I mean, we've promised it now. We've got to pay it off. Does Prime do same-day delivery here?
We'll figure it out later.
As sure as Fiend
Expenses.
So. Yeah. We have those now.
We
It's
do.
lovely. Right, Fight Forever, the AEW video game. Some stuff's going on here. So, it's been a busy week for this game. They had a reveal thing yesterday. They showed off some new footage, some new character models. There was a Fightful report saying, hey, a bunch of people going to be in the game. Body Slam reported that Owen Hart was going to be in the game. Now we've got this report here from Sports Gamers Online. It's Michael Straw, who's been bang on the money with lots of game-related stuff as of late, and probably in the past as well. It's just that I have the memory of a block of Swiss cheese. It's full of holes, and when it gets too hot, it just melts. So, it kind of paints not a great picture of the development process here. So he's talking about how there's a bit of a strained relationship between Yuke's, who are the developers, and AEW Games, which is obviously AEW's gaming division. Kenny Omega specifically reportedly hates working alongside Yuke's, or is hating working alongside them, with one source noting that the studio has maybe tried to take advantage of Kenny because he's obviously very passionate about video games, but he's an amateur when it comes to developing them, and he's very heavily involved in this project. Now, Fight Forever's direction and development constraints have apparently caused a few arguments between the two parties. Meanwhile, the game is now believed to be way over budget as well. And this has led to a number of planned features either being kind of stripped back or just cut from the game entirely. Now, one casualty of this is the game's roster. Fightful reported yesterday that despite AEW having I think it's 120, 130 people under contract, only 50 people, the roster at the start of the game, is only going to be about 50 people. Now, AEW might want to increase that by DLC, post-release content, try and get the numbers up a little bit, but Yuke's want to kind of ink a long-term agreement with AEW, presumably for future products or projects, before agreeing to a DLC plan. At this stage, AEW doesn't want to do that, leading to talk that Fight Forever could be a one-and-done deal as far as the partnership goes. Now, Tony Khan's promotion has apparently become nervous about signing a long-term deal after these experiences, and may end up looking for a new gaming partner in the end after all of this. So we don't have a release date yet. I think September was previously reported by Fightful as something they were aiming for. But it sounds like the development of this has been a bit of a pain in the ass, and that's a shame because all I want is a fun game.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of pressure put on this game immediately from when they first announced it, by the way they were talking about it, and especially getting Yuke's involved. Obviously they did all the SmackDown games originally, and it's the sort of nostalgia value of Yuke's back doing wrestling games, and the sort of passion that lies within AEW, not only in its fandom but in the company itself for video games, and how much they wanted to make this right. There's a lot of pressure on getting this right. It's the first big game that they'll ever release. They've done a bunch of mobile things, obviously, but this is very different to all of that. So there's a lot of pressure to get it right, and it sounds like it's not going well.
Yeah, and especially as this year's 2K. I've not played it personally, but apparently it's really great.
Yes,
so,
a big step up from what it was last year.
Yeah, so yeah, look, if the game sucks, that would suck.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I say, I'm a discerning consumer. I'm not going to buy this thing personally if it comes out and it gets bad reviews, and my trusted colleagues in the gaming department here at WhatCulture tell me it's not great. So just make it good. That's all we care about.
Yeah, even no matter how much it costs, just keep spending until it's good.
Yeah,
keep only get one chance at this first game.
Go bankrupt just to make it good.
Do it, Tony. Tony's not going to go bankrupt.
Yeah, he's a billionaire. It's fine.
But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. But it's interesting news. It all seemed very rosy at the beginning of this deal, and
now it's
not so much anymore.
More Jim than Rosie now, isn't
it? Or just sinking on the boat. Anyway, moving over to controversies in wrestling, and who else's name pops up with controversies in wrestling but Tessa Blanchard, obviously. So this is coming from Fightful Select, and it appears that she has fallen out with WOW, or Women of Wrestling, obviously, the promotion that she's been with since October 2021, after being out of wrestling for quite a while, heading down to Mexico, and then she got released from Impact a while ago because of allegations of racial abuse and things like that. So anyway,
bad stuff.
So we should point out that this is sort of unconfirmed right now. It's been strange reports coming out from it, but Fightful are reporting that allegations of issues have happened between them, and no word is she's going to be there for their TV tapings later this week. Women Wrestling personnel have apparently signed an NDA about it because they were fearful about getting in trouble either with Tessa Blanchard herself or with the promotion, and sort of like the backlash that might cause. One of the allegations apparently is about Tessa Blanchard cutting a promo that saw her just tear into Samantha Americana Sage during one of the acting classes that they were doing in training, which prompted several trainees to speak up about it. Apparently these classes have now since been cancelled after this as well. Again, it's not fully confirmed, but one trainee stated that they were told that Blanchard wouldn't be heavily involved in the future of WoW, and suggested that she has been removed from her head coach's position there as well. Again, not confirmed, but one roster member says she may be done entirely with that promotion. This is coming from a history of allegations against Tessa Blanchard, a history of controversies about her, and it just seems to be never ending right now.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah,
since the last
been quiet
big one.
for a while.
I remember, and it's an interesting relationship, this, because she signed with WOW, or wow! It's hard to think of those initials without exploding, isn't it? Wow! And it seemed like a bit of a rehabilitation deal where it's like, let's rebuild your reputation. And then like a couple of weeks later, they released a t-shirt that was like, nuclear heat. And it was like, oh no, this is not going to go well. And lo and behold, it has not gone well, going by this report. Tessa Blanchard's stance is the same as it's ever been for me personally. Phenomenally talented performer, but that doesn't really matter when you cause so many problems behind the scenes. And obviously, the allegations that were made against her in 2020 are horrendous. And the victims in all those situations, La Rosa Negra, she's the one who's lost out the most from all of this. She had to fall victim to the stuff that Tessa was accused of, and she had the controversy with not wanting to work the taping and holding the championship and getting released as champion, and it's like, future in wrestling does not look great.
No, not at all.
You know who has got a good future in wrestling? Moose.
Hey,
right? He's doing really well at the moment. Moose. So it's a Fightful Select report again here, talking about how WWE had interest in Moose before he signed his last Impact contract, which was last year and was for 2 years. But they've basically spoken to Moose and confirmed a previous report that WWE were trying to sign the guy. They were pursuing him, and Moose was interested. He held talks with WWE, and he was actually going to go until Scott D'Amore, the Impact executive, came back and said, no, Moose, here's a better offer that was described as being a major improvement on his previous terms and required a quick answer. Ultimately, Moose decided to stay where he is and where he has been since coming over after leaving Ring of Honor many years ago at this stage. So there you go, pretty interesting. Canyon Ceman, who's no longer with WWE, was the point man on all of this, but Moose decided to stick around anyway. I think this guy's in the form of his life at the moment. Literally, just Google image filter to 1 year and look at the shape he's in to start with.
Yep.
But his level of performance has been incredible as well in the ring. The match with Josh Alexander last week was sensational stuff. I loved his match with my guy Big Tom last year in New Japan. And he had a great match with Mike Bailey on the Indies this year as well. So Moose is doing great stuff. I'm not surprised that WWE were interested in him. Now, in the past, from some outlets, and this is something you have to talk about when you mention Moose, he has allegations of certain forms of abuse against him, and in the past that has been held up as something that WWE or other companies weren't willing to look beyond. Perhaps that's not the case anymore, but that's, in the interest of balance, we have to mention those things. But there you go.
Moose, not only his work rate in Impact has been fantastic, but his packaging in Impact has been amazing. The way they've treated him has been absolutely phenomenal. They've built him up as this absolutely massive star within Impact itself. The entrance, the promo, the character that they worked out for him, everything about the package in Impact has been absolutely fantastic. So it's a credit to them and Moose working together to create this kind of thing that gets people like WWE interested. Interesting that Impact went above and beyond to try and keep him, because of course they did.
Yeah, he was like champion for like half a year or something as well.
Long time.
So they've made an investment in the guy, and yeah, there you go.
But speaking of Impact, guys, AEW Dynamite was last night, and MJF has obviously been putting people in front of Wardlow to try and keep him at arm's length. He had the match against Butcher, against Lance Archer as well, shoving people as little roadblocks in the way, but he had a mystery opponent last night, and everyone kind of knew what this was going to be. It was very heavily teased last week, and it was, of course, W. Morrissey, or the former Big Cass from WWE. He came out and wasn't a squash match or anything. He definitely got quite a lot of offense in, but Wardlow beat him with one powerbomb instead of the usual symphony, which is quite telling, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a big, big dude. It looked very impressive, Wardlow throwing him around. And it's, just another sort of scalp on his way to MJF. Afterwards, he was like tearing through all of the security guards again, like he does, trying to get to MJF. And it has been announced that there will be a match between MJF and Wardlow. But what that will actually look like, we'll find out next week on Dynamite during a contract signing.
Yeah.
So exciting times. We are actually getting to this MJF versus Wardlow match, I assume, at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, it's a good storyline. This I'm really into. Wardlow is extremely over as well, so that shows it's working.
Indeed.
And you know, like it's really nice. He got chance. There was chance of we want Enzo, and then the other half of the crowd were like, "No, we don't," which was quite interesting. But no, it's really nice to see W. Morrissey doing well, because he had life hit him with a couple of sucker punches, obviously, after leaving WWE, and perhaps while he was there as well. And he had a rough time of it. Now he's carved out a cool niche for himself in pro. He's in great shape as well. He looks happy. He looks healthy.
Back in his right headspace. Kind of thing for it all.
Like just watching him now makes me happy. So like I really enjoyed him showing up. They obviously, like last week MJF went and you can't teach that. You know, so we knew it was going to be. But it was fun and I had a good time, and that's what matters. Have a good time.
Indeed. That's what wrestling's all about.
Yeah, that's what it is in a nutshell. Right, let's head over to our Twitter questions today. We actually got a bunch about this storyline, which took me off guard a little bit, but I guess people are interested in it, so here we go. So I've just taken this question here to kind of catch all, but just know that if you asked about this storyline, I saw your question. Robert Williamson III asks, do AEW need to just drop the House of Black story with the Varsity Blondes and move them onto the Blackpool Combat Club, or is it too soon? Personally, I've lost interest with the whole Julia Hart. Julia Black? Who's Julia Black?
I mean, soon to be Julia Black. Maybe.
Yeah, Black Eye. She got the makeup and stuff now. Yeah, the Julia Blackheart. Maybe that'll be her name. Either way, I've lost interest with the whole Julia Hart corrupted thing. I think a lot, like, for me personally, like, toxic mist and corruption and stuff, it's not what I like from pro wrestling, but I don't know, are you any different?
No, not particularly. Okay. And this one seems to have just been going on a really long time now. I don't know how long it's actually been going
December,
for.
I believe, or November,
Jesus. It's really long with very little that's actually happened. Yeah. She's put out the odd tweet, kind of like once a week maybe about it. And that's basically the entire progression is she's just been sat there looking a bit grumpy, sat on the steps for a while. So something needs to happen sooner rather than later. Obviously, they teased it a bit last night on Dynamite, but she couldn't bring herself to hit with the chair. So they're getting there, but let's just speed this up.
Speed it up,
and move on. Like, I'm not into the House of Black stuff surrounding the character stuff and the stories, but the match stuff,
matches rule,
absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
So we need to be focusing on that side of it, and not the weird spooky balls.
I completely agree. And she's had a couple of dark and elevation matches and stuff, but it's stretched out over a very long period of time, so maybe it's time to just fast forward to the end. Our next question comes from Eddie Zamhari, regular contributor, but he asks great questions. That's how they end up on the news. He asks the following. Who do you think will be the Joker, this was announced last night, of the Owen Hart tournament? That's the person facing Samoa Joe. My guess is Claudio Castagnoli Cesaro. I completely agree.
That was my first impression as well. Cesaro would be a perfect fit for this, jumping in against Samoa Joe. But since he's already picked Cesaro, I'll go with Miro, because that would just be really good fun as well. Miro versus Samoa Joe would be incredible now.
It would be lovely to just have that great man back on TV as well. Tremendous shout. Who do you guys think in the comment section? Let us know. Maybe the Fiend.
Maybe.
He's still a free agent.
Yes, it's true.
Our final question here comes from Lon Maya, who asks, who should... I love the the mystery of this part of the storyline, because I think it's a lot of fun. Who should Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz add to their group to stop them getting outnumbered by the Jericho Appreciation Society constantly? Of course, at the moment it's 5-on-3. Last night it was 5-on-2 because Eddie had the fireball in his eyeball the other week. My answer to this is really simple. It's Homicide. It's
I was
Hernandez.
gonna say Homicide and Hernandez. God damn it. Do I have to think of someone else now?
Sorry, Phil. You're going to say the Fiend and the Flat Crocodile. But yeah, I mean, like, they've got history with Eddie from Impact. They've got history with Santana and Ortiz. Obviously, they were mortal enemies in Impact. But hey, we can retcon that. So I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, the whole LAX thing, it just makes sense, doesn't it? They've already had a bit of Homicide in AEW before, like, just do a bit more of it.
Just do more.
But anyone else? I don't know. Dakota Kai. There we go.
Dakota Kai and Persia Peralta.
There you go.
There we go.
Sorted.
There we go. You also got
fixed AEW.
cut the other day. Malcolm Bivens. He's wrestled before.
Why not? Chuck him all in.
Yeah, he's wrestled as Chuck Taylor, interestingly, back in his indie days. Shout out to Stokely Halfway. Very talented man who's going to find employment no problem.
Yes.
Same for a lot of those folk. I think
Yeah.
a lot of those releases where people we've not seen on TV very often. I wish them all the best as well. But I think like your Dakota Kais and your Persia Peraltas and your Malcolm Bivens are
no-brainers.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, thank you for joining us today on the news. You can follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. You can follow Phil on Twitter
at Fill My Chambers, and you can follow Andy at
follow me at Andy H Murray. The H stands for hey. Remember what it is tomorrow? Big Dumb Friday, Fiend Friday. We need a brand for it. I think Fiend Friday is quite nice.
Fiend Friday works.
Yeah. Don't want to steal
Fiend
Gators
Day.
Daily's gimmick and call it Flat F Friday.
That's a different thing. That's already a thing.
Yeah, someone else's IP. That follow Gators Daily on Twitter, by the way.
Let us know what we should call our stupid Fridays in the comments below.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Maybe we'll do a poll as well.
The one with the most amount of likes wins.
There you go. Bye.